And I credit that to my grandfather. He helped me build my first computer at 9, and it was always part of my life.
Can you do me a favor? Can you look in the camera and say like, comment, and subscribe?
Like, comment.
Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. So to my grandson's channel. Say like, comment, and subscribe to my grandson's channel.
Like, comment, and subscribe to my grandson's channel.
You heard it. Okay, welcome back to If I Knew Then. Today we have my friend Joe Jamison. We've known each other since high school, and interestingly enough, I have no clue what you do. I've known where you worked, but I know nothing about your job, so I'm excited to talk about it today. Thank you for doing this. Before we go any further, can I turn it over to you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I told you this before. I'm a little upset that we have to do a podcast for you to talk to me, but we'll fix that. So yeah, Joe Jamison. I work in technology for a large health services organization. In a nutshell, my team would support multiple business segments, right? So we have functions that are legal, communications, HR, marketing, and we support their tool sets that they use on a daily basis. Whether that's, when I say application, I don't mean an application on your phone, which I think most people probably go to, but these are tool sets that are used internally or externally, whether they're web-based or whether they are actually true applications. Our team supports, the discovery of those tools. Are they working for each individual function? Our team would be responsible for that whole experience, based on it's on the requirements and based on the needs.
That's good. I like that. And I think I was just excited to talk to you, so I didn't actually say your title. So you're Director of Technology for a large health services organization. I think just now it clicked exactly what you do. I didn't know that you were just internal facing. I thought you were external for some reason. So
So it's both.
It is both.
It's both. It's both. Yeah. Sorry. I might have said internal, but we support both internal and external. Depends on depends on who and what, but we do support both.
Okay. That's cool. Can you tell me, how did you get into this? Did you go to school for this? Did you always know you wanted to be in tech?
Dude, I have a weird journey, right? So I'll walk you through it. I started, I went to, obviously you go through high school. I had no ambition to go to further education, college, what have you. I jumped into, sales world. I jumped into all kinds of different jobs and really had no plan, had no path, really didn't know what was going to come of life, right? So you just you're figuring out as you go. I hit a wall. I started doing construction, and I don't, for me, I don't mean to sound, but for me, I had an injury previous to as a kid, and it's just hard work. I give credit to those who can do it day in and day out, but it's just something I couldn't do every day, and I knew it. So finally, that was kind of the motivation. You're talking 2 years after high school at this point for me to get into school. I went to a local, I went to Penn State, but it was Abington. And at that time, the local campus did have a four-year program. I went for business, so just kind of general business with some minor in communications, which ironically is where I sort of landed. Long story short, I got my life together. I did really, really well in college. Something clicked. I knew that I needed to get my stuff together, and I did. I did really well in school. Had a really cool internship, with the Flyers, which I loved. So that was really kind of a cool experience that, it just kind of makes you feel like you can do things that maybe you didn't think you could do. Did some stuff overseas. When I say stuff, semester overseas, and really had some great experience there, and did kind of an externship with Merce Shipping, which was, again, another eye-opening experience for me. And then after college, I did have a sales role or sales job that I took and really kind of learned, it's kind of funny to say now because it's like security systems, but, you need those foundational roles to kind of learn the ropes, right? And sales I would suggest that anybody do a stint in sales, regardless of who you are or what you do, because that sort of skill set translates just about everywhere.
Totally.
But anyway, sales role for 2 years. I land the gig at Cigna. I start in legal, just reporting and metrics, right? So not really, a legal business person or a lawyer. Of course, I'm not that. But this was a role in data and analytics, which was kind of the segue into my technology career. And I should preface it by saying technology was always part of my life. I mean, you know me enough to know that I always had gadgets. I was always tinkering, always played around with software.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't bite on Bitcoin in the early days, but it is what it is.
You also had the newest phone like the day it
Yes,
came
yes,
out,
yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah. And I credit that to my grandfather. He helped me build my first computer at 9, and it was always part of my life. And I just love technology. So fast forward to I get my first role. I'm in a large organization. That organization is changing rapidly because healthcare changes rapidly. It, still is. And if you're not living under a rock, you can see that that's still happening to this day. I then got an opportunity because I did not love my role in legal. I was fortunate enough to shop around a little bit. I had some great mentors in the organization and externally, and I was able to shop myself around. At this point, confidence was definitely up, and I kind of started to realize I could bring some value to somebody. And anyway, I landed a role in technology with my current lead, who I've been with and kind of rocking with for the last 11 years, believe it or not. Um, and that's how I got here, 13, 14 some odd years later. And I'm in a role that I never thought I'd be in. And it's all just because of, I hate to be like the cliche, but it's networking, it's shopping yourself and eventually figuring out who you are and what you want to be. And then kind of figuring out that you don't want to do something you don't want to do for the rest of your life. So you might as well find a role that, you enjoy doing. And, I'm certainly not saying every day is sunshine, but I don't hate what I do. I really enjoy it.
So I love that. I love the journey. I have a question for you. First, where did you study abroad?
So I did my mainstay was in Copenhagen, Denmark, and then we did a bunch of like random weekend trips around. Bounced into Malmo, Sweden, Germany, and I'm forgetting on Oslo, Norway. So we bounced
Awesome.
around, and these are like weekend trips and such. But the
Yeah.
externship was with Maersk, and then the partnership was with Penn State, which I was local campus, but Abington had couple professors that went out with us and they actually taught some of the courses out there, but then we mixed in with the Copenhagen Business School and did some local coursework as well. So it was, again, anybody who's well beyond those years, but anybody who can do that in their young career or life, that was a great experience, at least for me.
Completely agree. I got to travel a lot with my previous role, and I think it completely changed the way I think about things and how I approach things. I was going to ask, do you think that experience made you want to step out a little bit more outside of your comfort zone?
For sure.
Yeah.
That was like the scariest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I
Not to get in, this, right? Like, not to get into where I grew up, but you don't realize how well, really, actually, I was going to say how big the world is, but actually how small the world is, right? In some ways. So, going to JFK for the first time, never even been to New York City. This is, just a 2.5 years into my college career at this point. I know that I hate what I'm doing and I need to figure things out. And I'm at JFK Airport and I'm flying to a country with no friends, nobody around me. And, immediately on the plane, like you just see people that are your age and they're kind of standing alone. You're like, are you here to go for this college thing? And they're like, yeah. And then you just meet people. And, I developed a small group of friends out there. We had a great time. We traveled different parts of the world and it was an amazing experience. And then I think the externship itself, we got to meet people that, I wouldn't have access to if it wasn't for this experience. And you realize, with anything, the end of the day, they're just people. So like, why can't I go back and do the same things that they're telling me they do? And the answer is you can. So I think it was good for a few things. I think it was good just for seeing it, discovering it, and then ultimately you kind of just you just build your confidence based on the people that you meet and the conversations that you have.
I love that. I completely agree with you. All right, so now fast forward to you're at your current place. What made you apply there specifically? Was it just an opportunity to like you wanted to do something different than you were doing in sales and this just happened to come up, or was it a place that you wanted to be? Because I know you've been there now for a while. It's cool to see that you've been able to grow. Like one, you found an opportunity internally that it was completely different from what you were doing, and then you've had an opportunity to grow in this role specifically. But I'm curious how you landed with this company to start.
Yeah, it was, full disclosure, this was help from somebody who got me in the door.
That's
And
so
you need that,
important
right?
too.
It
Yeah, and it's
is.
so
It
good to
really is.
hear. Yeah.
And this was, this was somebody who, truly became a mentor to me. They weren't part of my immediate family, but they were somebody that I kind of clicked with, and I credit her to most, if not much, of my career. Not only getting in, I'll stop there, right? But that's how I got in, and then the journey continues from there. But that person, with many others, helped get me to the point where it is now. Yeah,
Yeah,
and anyway, got in through somebody who helped me get in, and then kind of mentored me through the journey of figuring out where I land, find a home, and then build a career from there.
that's awesome. Okay, so then found this role internally, you applied for it, you got it. I'm sure you like the team. You've turned it into a long-term career now. What does that like what exactly was that role?
I got you.
What has it turned into? And then I if you want to go into the day to day, I'm curious about that
Sure.
too.
No, I'm tracking with you. I don't think you care about
Okay.
the date. I wake up at 6. I go make coffee. No. So yeah. So internally, I was here. I landed the role, doing the legal thing. Didn't love it. Then I find this opportunity for, it was a small application that you would call it an intranet, right? Like an internal portal that, for anybody who doesn't know that term, you have internet external, and you have an intranet, which is internal. And that's like, in our use case, different organizations use it for different purposes, but for our use case was a one-stop shop for all the tools that you would need as an employee, right? And then you have to build different employee experiences. So that was the gig. And this was sort of partnering with our communications team to support the platform, build upon the platform. And at this time, this is before cloud services really kind of was the end all be all, right? So this is an internal net application, and then there was another component which was, again, homegrown. And just for anybody who doesn't understand what that means, like, that's not, people don't really do that anymore. You just partner with, software as a service. You partner with different vendors, and you bring tools in versus actually building tools. But we had these two now legacy tools that I started my career on. I learned how to manage a software cycle with an on-prem or an internally built tool, all while they being our business partners were starting to shop a new tool, which was our first cloud-based software as a service type of tool for internet purposes. So I just came in. I mean, talk about timing and good luck. I came in at a point where I got to experience, software internally built and learn how to support that, what that means. I wasn't in a lead role, but I was able to kind of watch that and observe. And then I got to be part of the experience of bringing in a new vendor, which is, more along the lines of a working model or a support model that you would see today, which is, that software as a service, and bring on the new vendor. And then my career just kind of went from there, right? So you put that one in your toolbox, and that's part of the things that you own. And so I ended up, in a lead role there, where I became the lead for that particular tool. And then you just kind of continue to accumulate new tools. Oh, hey, you did a great job onboarding that tool. Can you onboard this tool? And then we
Hmm.
need you to support it. So the repository of tools just kind of grew from there. And then you branch out into different functions. So it started with communications. Now it's communications, HR, marketing, legal, a few others, and some smaller functions as well. But that's in short, the journey. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of, yeah.
That's cool. So your portfolio expanded as you got more comfortable in it. You started to find
You said that
success in the space. Yeah.
You said
What?
that way better than I did. I should have just said my portfolio expanded. We could have cut 30
I
minutes out of that conversation.
No, I think it's good. And I think also, like, this may sound cheesy, but someone else I had on my podcast, so someone I work with, her name's Pam. She shared with me that the way she phrases it is that you follow your warmth. And however, like, you could come up with maybe something you're more comfortable with saying, but I think like that is true for the majority of people that I've interviewed do not know what they want to do. They don't know what they're going to do next. It's never very clear, but you end up gravitating towards the things that you're not just that you're good at, but that you enjoy doing. And those things often create more opportunities. And it sounds exactly like what happened with you. So you end up,
Followed my
you
warmth.
show, yeah, you show that you're capable and that you're successful in this space. It opens up more opportunities. And so that's awesome. That's cool to hear.
Yeah, it's exactly how it went down. And it just kind of keeps growing from there. And before you know it, you're ripping your hair out. You're stressed every day, and the love that you had for your job at one point is now. No, I'm kidding. It's that's not true. It's great.
All right. So now I think that this is a good segue into the namesake of this. So if I knew then, I'll frame it for you the same way. Is there any advice you wish you had earlier in your career? Would you do something differently? Would you tell yourself like, hey, don't sweat this? What advice would you give someone who's potentially looking to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, yeah. I think for me the biggest thing, I always lacked self confidence in a lot of ways, and I think if I could go back and say to my 20 some year old self, or maybe even prior to that, through like earlier years, like late teens, this stuff doesn't matter as much as you think it does, and you'll figure out the path. Right, easier said than done. I think for anybody who's out there and trying to figure their path out, you're not supposed to know all the answers, even when you're established. People every day are out there just trying to figure it out, and that's every level. And I think knowing that you bring value, you know what I think, actually knowing the value that you bring to, I don't know, an organization, a team, a school, a this, a that, whatever you're into, whatever you're doing, know the value that you bring to that, and that just helps launch your confidence in what you're doing. And that really goes a long way. And I hate to say it, but the fake it till you make it is 100% true. But you should try and figure out, not fake it. You should really know what you're doing, but it's something that does help. And it all comes from confidence. And you should be confident in what you can deliver and what you can do.
I love that advice. I think you said this, but personally and professionally, it helps significantly. I'm with you. I
100%.
learned it later in life too. But I think like the fake it till you make it thing, yes, if you say it, just if people
Right.
take that face value,
Yeah.
I would agree with you. But there is like framing it slightly differently. I think it's so important because I forget what the statistic was, but there was a statistic of a pretty high number of people who won't apply to jobs because they don't meet 100% of the criteria listed in the job. And it's not necessarily faking it, but if you never do anything that you don't know, you'll never grow. You'll never be able to, if you need the prior experience for a role, then you'll never be able to do anything different than what you currently do. So
100%.
so unless you are willing to take the opportunity or take the risk to step into something different or to leverage it, you talked about it earlier around transferable skills. If you don't do that, then you'll never grow. So I think that that is totally applicable to literally everything in life. It's not just professional.
Couldn't agree with you more. I think, yeah, I mean, you said it best. I totally agree with you.
Thank you. I was just building on what you said. So, but I love it. I love the advice. I normally ask like, what's next for you? What's your next? Do you have any professional goals that you want to share?
Yeah, I do. I think, and you kind of mentioned this before. I think the one thing that I've always had was a plan of some sort, right? And, look, each person's plan is different. Would I love to be a CEO or CTO or a CIO? Yeah, of course. Is that on the roadmap? Yeah, maybe. Or maybe I'll just start a corporation and call myself the CEO. I mean,
Yeah.
one way or the other, you get there. But the reality is, this is my take. You should have a plan of some sort. It can be an outline, right? But I know in my career that there's certain milestones, and whether you use age or you use years or you use whatever milestone, checkpoint you want to use, you should know where you are. You should know where you stand within your place of work or organization, and you should know what's coming next. And I think part of that is being open and having honest conversations with, your leadership or whoever is I hate to use the word superior, but whoever you're reporting into. You should have open conversations, open, honest conversations about what you are to them and what you are to the organization, because you got to make decisions that are good for you. And don't let anybody else tell you that that's not the case. If you're not their fit, or if you're not their piece, you got to go find your own home and you got to figure out your own path. So I think having at least an outline plan of where you want to be as I don't care if you're looking at titles, if you're looking at, salary, whatever that is, whatever your success is, have an outline plan and check in with yourself to make sure that you're meeting the goals. And I think that's one thing that one of my mentors kind of beat in my head pretty early on, and that person told me, by years, right, by age, you should be here, and then you should be here, and then you should be here. And whether that was good advice or not, to me it worked, and so far so good. That makes sense?
I think that's really good advice. I think, again, like if you were to frame it differently for some people, I think everything you said is spot on. I think that there are some people, like we were talking about one of my earlier guests, Bob Carr. So the way he framed it, and I'm going to butcher this, was even if you're not chasing titles, like you said, if you're not chasing titles or certain salary, whatever, there is something that you want to chase. So like maybe I'm not sure what I want to do next, but he said your next role, you want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. Like I want to be able to lead something. I want to be able to add value in this. I want to be able to do that. And if you're not sure if you want to be, like you jokingly said, CEO, if you're not sure exactly what your next step is, you should at least do what you're saying and plan out exactly what you want to be able to add value to, or what your next thing is that you want to do, even if it, again, not as specific. But that to me, and then the other advice that you just gave around being open and honest with whether it's your manager or whomever, even if it's not, you're right. It's better to know now if that's not in the, like, if that's not possible or if it doesn't fit the same vision that your manager has, it's much better to know now than it is for you to grow resentful. Like, hey, why hasn't this happened yet? So I love that advice. I think that's great.
And they're extremely difficult conversations to have because it's how you are viewed, right? Like, don't be naive to think that folks aren't talking about you in certain rooms or areas because they have to.
Yeah.
So knowing where you stand and where you stand in their eyes from purely from a talent perspective is extremely important. And to your point, right? If you're not going to be on the boat getting to the next island, then you gotta get off. So it's good to know. And I've been fortunate, right? Like having these harder conversations. I tried to leave a couple times. I had some opportunities, and I did, treated well and stayed on the ship. So all good.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
We're done.
Yeah, this is the end of it.
All
Before
right.
I let you go, is there anything else you wanna share or plug?
No, I don't have anything to plug. Catch my new podcast. No, I'm kidding. I have nothing to plug, but thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And this is fun. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. All
All
right.
right, brother. Good seeing you.